Eddie Van Halen. To me, he's the GOAT of electric guitar. Not only with his playing, but with his innovations too. He changed guitar in so many ways forever. Today, I'm refinishing two Wolfgangs, and one of them's a finish I've never seen on a Wolfgang body. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and definitely hit that bell to turn on post notifications. This is Trash to Thrash. For more than 20 years, I've been obsessed with guitars. From playing them, to working on them, to buying and collecting them, I've built quite the collection of awesome custom guitars. Now, I'm turning my passion into a profession by seeking out old, beat-up guitars and giving them new life, all while trying to make a profit. I'll be searching everywhere for used gear that I can refret, rewire, repaint, whatever it takes to make it a real shredder. This is Trash to Thrash. Hello everybody, welcome back to Trash to Thrash. I'm your host, Mark Murray, and today we're paying our respects to the king once again. EVH is the reason I started playing and modifying guitars back in the mid-90s, and I used to throw Van Halen VHS and cassette tapes on when I'd be playing Legos or drawing cars with my friends back in 4th grade. I grew up with bands like Van Halen, Aerosmith, Pink Floyd, and Journey, always playing in the background since I was a baby. Since as far back as I can remember, I would wake up in the mornings and my parents would already have the radio on, playing their favorite music. We always had music on, and Van Halen was one of our top played bands. Today, I'll be making two Wolfgangs I've never seen anyone else do. One is a rare stripe model used on only one tour that I've seen, and for the second, well, we're making the Rude Wolf. In 1981, Van Halen set out on the Fair Warning Tour. From May to October, they toured North America promoting their newest album. This album had a mix of tunings on it. Standard, E-flat, drop C-sharp, and even 2 full steps down, so Ed had to bring out an arsenal of guitars on tour for quick swaps between the songs. Shout out to VanHalenGear.com for this information. They're an excellent resource for a timeline of Eddie's gear. Ed had 2 drop C-sharp guitars, the Unchained or the Circles guitar, and the Rude. Both of them were 2-inch thick mahogany bodies equipped with Floyd Rose bridges. 2 inches is thick for a guitar, and mahogany isn't normally used on Strats, but these guitars were made to compensate for the weaker tone that Floyd Roses contribute to, since they don't have the sustain or really the tone of a Tune-o-matic or a Strat style tremolo. So today that's one of the Wolfgangs we're making, a Rude Wolfgang. The other one will be a variation of the 1978 Frankenstrat, the black and white striped eruption model. But it is a little bit different than the original. In 2013, Van Halen toured Japan and King Edward used this obscure Wolfgang I've never seen him use anywhere else. When I started working on this guitar, I couldn't find any pictures of it online, just a fan-shot YouTube video of it. But a few months back, it was on display somewhere, and now pictures are starting to come out of it. I'm not aware of anyone else who's done one of these Wolfgangs, so this might be the first recreation of that guitar. Now, let's get started on these guitars. The process for these two guitars was pretty similar, but there were some key differences between the two rebuilds, so we're going to go along and rebuild both of them side by side, because this is how they were basically built in the shop. This is Jim's USA-made Wolfgang. You'll notice some key features that these come with, like the built-in kill switch, the D-tuna, the eye-bolt locks, and they have nice bindings on the edge. This is one of the very top Wolfgangs that EVH Gear sells. Jim bought this guitar brand new and had it shipped directly to me, so you can see the guitar is unplayed. It does look really cool in this satin black, but it's going to look way better once we get it edified. This is a Wolfgang standard that I found on Reverb. I always like to have a couple Wolfgangs around just in case somebody wants to buy a custom striped one or something even cooler like this project. I'd been talking to Tom for over a year about doing a guitar for him, and finally we decided to do the EVH Rude on a Wolfgang. So as beautiful as a guitar like this is, it's a really common finish, but I've never seen a Rude Wolfgang. Maybe one exists out there somewhere, but I've never seen it. As I always do, I handed these Wolfgangs off to my shop assistant Ryan. He disassembled them, bagged up the parts, and then sanded them down. Now with the Rude Wolf, what we're going to be doing is adding a kill switch in the exact same location that it's on the USA Wolfgang. This is another part of the job that Ryan really has down at this point. He started by masking off the guitar, and then marking the spot for the hole. The kill switch cavity is going to be routed from the backside of the guitar, but the hole is going to go straight through to the front for the kill switch to poke through. Here he's marking where the internal cavity is going to be in relevance to the hole we're drilling. This is really just to make sure that the hole is not going to be interfering with the edge of the guitar. This second ring he's making is going to be where the cavity cover is going to sit. So there's going to be a more shallow lip routed onto the back of the guitar as well. And that looks like it's nice and far from the edge. You can see he's got another Wolfgang laid out right next to it that we've already done this to. Now it's over to the drill press to drill the initial hole that's going to hold the kill switch. We'll drill this hole straight through the guitar, so then we're going to use that dimension on the back side of the guitar to make the same markings with those concentric circles, so we know exactly how to route this guitar out. Adding the kill switch hole here on the Wolfgangs is something we've done a few times now, so Ryan actually made a pretty nice routing jig for it. It has two holes in it. The smaller one is the deep cavity that's going to go all the way down for the electronics to mount in, and the larger hole is going to be the shallow shelf so that we can put a cover over this cavity. This little Bosch router's a monster. It's a Bosch Colt, which is a 1 horsepower router. 1 horsepower is a lot to have in your hands. Mounted in the router is a ball bearing bit. This type of bit has a ball bearing on it that's made to ride on the inside of a template like we did. Using the template and the ball bearing bit, we now have a repeatable and consistent way to make these kill switch cavities. To make the proper space in this cavity, you actually have to do this in multiple passes, and you have to route down pretty far down into the guitar, leaving only about 3/8 of an inch of the top of the guitar remaining. Now we need a way to connect the kill switch over to the electronic cavity, so we're going to drill a hole here using a long bit connecting the two cavities. While Ryan's routing out that guitar and getting it prepped for the paint booth, I'm working on the USA Wolfgang and getting the cavities covered, the neck pocket covered, and getting that one ready for the spray booth. The USA Wolfgang is up first. It's getting a base coat of black. For this guitar, I did 3 coats of gloss black separated by about 8 minutes apiece. I actually sprayed quite a few Wolfgangs this day, I think 5 or 6. A few stealths, the Rude, another Circles, and of course the USA one I just showed you. And since it was such a nice day outside, I painted a couple of the guitars over in my outdoor covered work area. Now those guitars need to dry for at least a week before I put any tape on them and get the next paint going, because the tape will leave an impression if you don't. But in the meantime, I still have my hands full, creating some stencils to use for this Rude guitar. I started by getting a bunch of pictures of Eddie's Rude guitar, and then copying it into Photoshop. Then I traced the entire guitar stripe by stripe so I can make a stencil. But obviously this guitar originally was a Strat and we're putting it on a Wolfgang body, so like the Circles guitar we did a year or so ago, the pattern didn't match the same way on the Wolfgang body as it did on the Strat. It's a tricky thing trying to move lines around because it sounds simple enough, but once you start moving one line here, another line here, other things start not looking right on the guitar, so you have to be real careful about how you move things around. After a few hours, it looks like I have the stripes fitted to the Wolfgang body and looking good. Here you can see the Strat being toggled on and off over the Wolfgang body, and the stripes of the Rude on the Wolfgang match up pretty good with the stripes of the Strat. So that's the design we're going with. I sent it over to the Cricut unit. I got the 24 by 12 inch mat on there, and I'm going to have to cut it in a couple sections because the lines are a little too wide for the Cricut to do in one pass. After removing all the excess material from the pattern, I laid the first section on, and it looks like it's going to fit great. But this is going to be super tricky to try to apply onto the guitar and not get any bubbles and keep the pattern perfectly straight how we want it to sit. So I started at the top left corner, peeled back the material from the backing sheet, and started applying it. Since the pattern was wider than 12 inches, here's the second section of the pattern, but I do need to make sure that it lines up perfectly with the first section. Now the whole pattern's on there and it's looking great, but we do need some additional tape just to kind of seal in the sides, make sure all the pieces stick down, and add some patterns to the back. The Cricut stencil material locks in the edges really well when I go to add the second paint color over it. It peels up and the lines are always real crisp. But the one drawback is the corners of the guitar, for some reason it likes to lift off the edges, so I made sure to tape down the edges real well. Now this thing is ready for the spray booth once again for some white paint this time. I set that guitar aside for a few minutes and now it's time to work on the USA Wolfgang again. I pulled up a bunch of reference photos that I pulled from the YouTube video here on my iPad. This stripe job is going to be a lot simpler than the Rude guitar I just did. For this one, it's almost all straight lines, 3/4 inch tape, and 1/8 inch tape. This pattern's really similar to the first stage of doing a Frankenstrat, the 78 Eruption style black and white stripe guitar like he used on Van Halen 2. I've done quite a number of stripe jobs similar to this, so this one didn't take too long. When this guitar first came in, I didn't really realize what model it was. EVH Gear makes 3 different model Wolfgangs. There's the standard, which is the most affordable Wolfgang, and they run about $700. Then there's the special, which feature the arch top and the D-tuna. Those are just above $1,000. I've never actually redone a Wolfgang special, so all the Wolfgangs you've seen on this show so far have been Wolfgang standards. But above the special is the USA model, which is in the $5,000 range. The owner of this guitar bought it brand new and had it shipped directly to me, so I was really surprised when it arrived and I realized what I had in my hands. This episode of Trash to Thrash is sponsored by Tessie Switch. They're the maker of the Nelly kill switch, which is what I'm using on the Rude guitar in this episode. Notice that it matches the kill switch that comes in the USA model? Well, if you want that authentic look, go pick one up from Tessie. They have all kinds of guitar parts and accessories, including custom knobs, switches, and even titanium Floyd upgrades. For me, if you're modding your Wolfgang with the kill switch, you gotta do the Nelly kill switch, because that's what Eddie uses. He's the king. But what's even cooler about the Nelly kill switch is they make it in all different colors. So if you have like a Bumblebee or a custom color striped guitar, you can get one to match your paint job. A couple of my other favorite products from Tessie are the arcade button kill switches and the colored Wolfgang knobs. Be sure to use the discount code in the description below to get 15% off at checkout. Now the USA Wolfgang's in the spray booth, and it's getting its second round of color, white. I did 3 medium to heavier coats of gloss white to cover up that black real well. When you have tape and you're adding a second color like this, you really don't want to go too thick with the color, because then when you go to peel the tape off, it's going to be a huge discrepancy in height between the 2 colors, and it's going to make it harder to peel that tape off clean. Sometimes the paint will end up chipping if it's on there too thick. And now it's time to give the Rude some white paint. I did the same exact procedure on this one, 3 medium to heavier coats of gloss white. Some of you may be wondering why it's called the Rude guitar. They call this the Rude guitar because the neck pocket of the guitar had EVH Rude painted in it. People speculate that Eddie's childhood friend and then guitar tech Rudy Lyron painted or designed the guitar for him, but it's unconfirmed. Like most of Eddie's guitars, the Rude went through a few different stages. It originally appeared with the Boogie Body's maple neck that, after the Fair Warning tour, was used on the Frankenstrat. Apparently at that time, the Rude got Eddie's Dan Electro neck that he loves so much. And later, the Frankenstrat got the Dan Electro neck, so the guitar's still in existence and it pops up from time to time. Most recently, it was seen in Wolf Van Halen's music video for Won't Back Down, which was shot in Ed's studio. Alright, now it's been about 24 hours and it's time to unwrap the guitar. I don't like to leave the tape on for too long because the paint will start to get brittle, and like I said before, it could end up chipping off. So I like to take it off when the paint's obviously dry, but about a day later after I paint it. After unwrapping the guitars, I let them sit for about a week before the clear coat went on. Since both of these Wolfgangs have 2 different layers of paint, the black and then the white, which is about 3 coats higher than the black, they're going to need a lot of clear coat. Each one's going to take at least 2 full cans of Spray Max High Gloss 2K in a can. But you really don't want to apply that much clear at one time. So what I like to do is spray about 6 to 7 coats per session of clear, which comes out to be about 1 can of paint. I do a real light coat for my first coat, and I get steadily thicker as I go on. Depending on the temperature, it's 7 to 9 minutes between coats, or until it starts to get sticky. You can touch the inside of the cavity of the pickup and tell exactly how wet the finish is. So it takes about 40 minutes to an hour to spray 6 to 7 coats of clear. I don't sand in between any of the coats, but after the first can, I will let the guitar sit for at least 7 days, or even longer. If you're newer to painting, you might even want to go 3 full sessions of clear, because as you sand the guitar, you're going to sand off the majority of this clear coat, and if you're new to this, you might burn right through that clear coat. When you're sanding and you don't have a ton of experience, it's actually pretty easy to do. After doing the first session of clear, I'll let the guitar sit for at least a week, and then I'll come back and level sand it with 600 grit sandpaper. This is going to help smooth out all the lines between the 2 colors, but I don't have to get it perfectly level yet, because we're going to add a lot more clear on. The second session, I'll do it just like the first session. 6 to 7 coats, a light first coat getting progressively thicker on each coat, and it takes about an hour to do again. I did this exact same process for both guitars. After the second session of clear, you could see these guitars are starting to look super smooth. It was a pretty similar process for the 2 headstocks, although one of them's getting painted solid black and one of them's getting some stripes. This is the USA Wolfgang, and Eddie Van Halen's tour model actually had a black headstock with an EVH logo on it. So I started by painting it black. The Rude Wolf is going to be painted black and white, similar to the body. So it's going to get a first coat of black. Then a week later, I striped it up. And I'll go ahead and put the logo here that I made using my Cricut machine. For both of these headstocks, I gave them a nice light sanding with some 600 grit sandpaper first. So then when I go to paint them, the paint's going to stick really nicely. There's not many pictures or video of this guitar online that you can really get a good detailed look at the headstock. I thought it might have been a gold logo. Jim thought it might have been a white logo, so to match the body, we went with a white logo. After putting the logos on, it was back into the spray booth with both necks, and I sprayed the headstocks clear. For the clear on the headstocks, I did the same thing as I did on the bodies. 6 to 7 coats per session, and I did 2 sessions, about a week apart, sanding with 600 grit in between the 2 sessions. After shooting all that clear, I like to let the guitar sit for at least 10 to 12 days, and then I start sanding on them. Of course, as I always do, I level sanded it starting with 600 grit sandpaper, then I moved to 800 grit, 1200 grit, and on these ones, I only went to 1500 grit after that. Normally, I would finish off with 2000 grit, and then I'd start my buffing. This week, I added a huge new tool to the Guitar Guts shop. I've had my eye on the StewMac buffing machine for years, and I finally got one. I have a video up on my second channel, Guitar Guts 2, that went up this week showing the unboxing of the buffer, and I talk a bit about it. This is going to knock hours in sanding and buffing time off each guitar build moving forward, plus it's going to give me better looking finishes. Go subscribe to my second channel, Guitar Guts 2. I'll even have a new vlog up this next week, a part 2 to this week's buffer unboxing, showing a typical Saturday here in the Guitar Guts shop, and it'll show Ryan building the stand for the buffer. It's a fun video where we check in with him throughout the day and see his progress. Link to the second channel is in the description for this video. I'm super excited to start using this on every build moving forward, and these 2 Wolfgangs this week were the first 2 guitars that I got to use this thing on. I fired up the buffer and buffed out these 2 Wolfgangs. I couldn't be happier with this thing. It is way more efficient. I only had to sand to about 1500 instead of 2000 grit sandpaper, and it was a lot faster. Normally buffing out a guitar could take a few hours. This took less than an hour. It's also a way cleaner job. Using liquid compound was shooting compound all over my shop, and I had to put up cardboard barriers to keep it in line. It's a dry clay compound, so you just put it right on the wheel, and it stays there. It doesn't go flinging around all over the room. The only negative thing I can say about this product is it didn't come with any real instructions, and it didn't have any books or anything you could buy to learn how to operate this machinery properly. It's a super powerful machine, and in the wrong hands, you could burn right through the edges of your clear coat down to the bare wood. On StewMac's website, they do have a very short 5-minute or so long video explaining what this machine does and gives you a couple little tips, which did help out quite a bit. But when I searched the rest of YouTube, there's not a lot of people who make content for buffing guitars on this exact type of machinery. I'll talk a lot more about this machine throughout the rest of Season 4 of Trash to Thrash. I've still got some things to learn when it comes to using this machine, but as I learn, I will share the knowledge with you guys here on the show. Hopefully anybody who's on the fence about buying one of these things, I can help you make up your mind. Now, I feel like I show you the assembly process on almost all the guitars here on the show, and there's not really much more to show about it. Other than the Rude's kill switch, these 2 Wolfgangs are basically getting all their stock components put right back in them. This is how the Tessie kill switch comes that we're going to be putting in the Rude Wolfgang. It's the Nelly kill switch 16mm, and it lights up with a red LED, unlike the EVH Wolfgang. Comes with a couple of picks, really nice presentation here, and I love the way that thing clicks. It also comes with a 9-volt battery clip, a small rocker switch, and a resistor so you don't fry the LED hooking it up to a 9-volt battery. Oh yeah, very important, it comes with a set of instructions as well so you know how to hook it up. I'll also be using this round Tessie cavity cover to cover the cavity that we made for the kill switch. So I say let's skip the assembly and the setup process and jump right to the reveal. Are you guys ready to hear these things shred and see how they turned out? I'd love it for you guys to hit that like button and leave a comment down below right now. What do you think of these beasts? Alright, what'd you guys think of these Wolfgangs? Which one do you like better? Or, which EVH classic paint job would you want on your custom Wolfgang? If you want to see some other EVH influenced guitars I've done, I'll put a playlist down in the description showing all the EVH inspired episodes of Trash to Thrash. And there's quite a few of them now. I also have more that weren't featured on the show, so if you want to see those, they're featured on the Guitar Guts Gallery. The Guitar Guts Gallery is a page on my website that shows most of the guitars I've rebuilt in the last 2 years or so. I'm pretty sure there's like over 50 guitars on there, so if you scroll through it, I'm sure you're going to find something that can inspire you. While you're at the website, you could buy a Guitar Guts limited edition pick, a Guitar Guts signature kill switch, or even the Guitar Guts Kill Boost pedal, which is a pedal I designed and had brought to life by my friend Matt at Goliath Effects. Next week on the show, I'll be showing you two 1990s made in Korea LTDs. One will be a Patreon giveaway, and one of them is going to be for sale right at the end of next week's episode. If you want a shot at winning the giveaway guitar, go join my Patreon CEO tier. The guitar will be raffled off June 15th, which is about 2 weeks from now. Last week's guitar sale video was successful. All the guitars were sold, but I have 4 more killer axes I'll be selling in the next month or so keep an eye out for announcements related to that. If you notice products I'm using in this video that you want to try out, check the links at the very bottom of the description. They're Amazon affiliate links. When you buy things using those links, Amazon rewards me for bringing you to them, so it costs you nothing extra, but it benefits Guitar Guts and Trash to Thrash, so it's a win-win. Please share the show with your friends and hit that like button. It helps out a ton. If you want to send your guitar into the show and have it featured as a rebuild, send me an email, mark@guitarguts.com, which is also listed in the description, and tell me about the guitar, tell me what you'd want done to it, send me some pictures of it, and I'll write you back with an estimate, and I could even help you brainstorm to come up with some ideas to make the guitar of your dreams. I want to give a special thanks to Tessie for sponsoring this episode. If you want to grab a kill switch like one of the ones used in today's guitars, click the link below, and be sure to use my discount code at checkout for 15% off. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Rock on, my friends.